It's at 7.
Passengers rushed to escape a British Airways plane after one of the engines caught fire.
Police continue to drain a West Side lagoon after a child's body parts were found, the latest on the investigation.
And the federal investigation that prompted the CEO of United to abruptly resign.
All that coming up, but first a check of the weather. Paul?
Studio.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Officials are trying to figure out what caused a British Airways jet engine to erupt into flames during takeoff in Las Vegas.
14 people suffered.
A lockdown at O'Hare turned out to be a false alarm. Traffic was backed up near Terminal 3 last night after the report of a suspicious package. But that turned out to be a rice cooker that was left in a garbage can. There was no threat to public safety. The grand jury investigation of the Patrick Kane rape case is postponed. The accuser and her friend were reportedly going to appear before a grand jury yesterday afternoon. That was canceled, but no reason was given. The Buffalo News reports there may be settlement talks between Kane and the accuser. She says Kane raped her at his home in New York last month. Kane was never arrested or charged with a crime. All right, thank you, Nancy. 7:05, the three men seen in surveillance video near the murder scene of Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glinowitz have been questioned and cleared of any connection to the case. Last week, investigators said they recovered a piece of important evidence, video showing three men watching the vague description of the suspects believed to have killed Glinowitz.
We have confirmed.
Investigators say the DNA found at the scene does not match that of Lieutenant Glinowitz. They have collected 50 DNA samples to test against that evidence. So far, investigators say they followed up on 185 leads in the case. A $50,000 reward is being offered for information. A priest at a church in Aurora is accused of sexually abusing a boy 40 years ago. A lawsuit claims Father John Holdren fondled and abused the boy in 1972 and 73 at St. Rita of Cascia Church when he was 7 years old. The accuser is 49 now and living in Maryland and suffers from depression, childhood amnesia, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Father Holdren tells WGN that he never abused anyone. He denies all of the claims in the lawsuit and says he is still a practicing priest at Our Lady of Mercy Church in Aurora. It is 7:07. We're opening the gallery of odd album covers from our friends from LP Cover Lover. If Bert and Ernie aren't on, you can always watch Sooty and Sweep.
They look fun.
What kind of bachelor are you looking for? How about Monsieur Josoni? He knows how to caress the squeeze box. And what's better than a tall, dark, handsome man with a squeeze box? How about two short, dark men with two squeeze boxes?
Yeah.
Well. You don't see enough of the accordions anymore. That's a fun instrument.
Paul, you've got the oboe. If I can get the squeeze box.
Yeah. We'd
be unstoppable.
Yeah. We'd be
Get on it, right?
A police chief in Oregon steps down after being accused of racism. In July, two officers accused Chief Marvin Hoover of using racial slurs when referring to African Americans. He was put on paid leave during the investigation, but soon retired. Now the ACLU is questioning why the chief was allowed to retire instead of being held accountable. City officials say they reached a separation deal with Hoover that was in the best interest of the city. The officers who reported Hoover say they have received death threats and their families have been harassed. It's 8:34. Europe's Commission president is calling for a refugee quota. He says the crisis is not going away and they must respond to it. The quota will help the European Union decide how to distribute migrants and resources across the country. More than 500,000 refugees have entered Europe this year. Most people are trying to leave violence in Libya and Syria. It's 8:34. A former ISIS slave is telling how she was once held captive with American hostage Kayla Mueller. This woman calls herself Zainat to hide her identity. She tells CNN she was 15 when she was captured by ISIS fighters. She was picked by ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi to cook and clean for his 3 wives and 6 children. She says she was put in a cell with Kayla Mueller after she tried to escape. Zainat says they were like sisters for weeks, but then a high-ranking ISIS commander called for Mueller. Zainat escaped through a window and a villager smuggled her to her family. Mueller was killed in an airstrike in February. Thank you there, Dean. Guy visiting Chicago from New York was here for a friend's bachelor party. Instead, he ended up spending the weekend alone. Robbie made it out of New York before all of his friends' flights were canceled. He posted pictures of his one-man adventures on Instagram. He stopped at Portillo's, went to a Bears game, and visited the Bean all by himself. So can you tell us, we mentioned Portillo's, and boy, wow, that's something. But could you tell us anything more about your adventures and any surprises?
I was surprised.
All right, coming up on WGN Morning News at 9, financial expert Terry Savage joins us with money advice for the new season. On number 7, here's a nice and simple one. A woman in Ireland named Gina has had a tough time at the supermarket with her son Francis because the 6-year-old has a cell disease. Francis can't walk or move much, so getting groceries while also pushing his wheelchair was really difficult for Gina. But when she went to Dunn's Grocery last Friday, the staff was there with a new shopping cart. It has a special padded seat, head support, and safety harnesses. She says Francis is happy and comfortable in the cart, and now she can actually shop for groceries without being completely stressed out. Dunn's has decided to order 155 of these carts for their stores all
That is
over
awesome.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Good for them.
It was a lump of whale vomit.
Oh, whale vomit.
Whale vomit is produced in a whale's intestines, and it's used when making perfume.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Don't get too grossed out, though.
No.
The 8-inch pile could bring in nearly $11,000 at auction because they use it for perfume.
Nice.
How do you find out that that's whale vomit? I mean, you pick up a rock, don't you just throw it in your garage or something? Who's sitting there going, I think it's more?
That's a whale vomit from the smell of it.
It
Yeah.
has the texture of whale vomit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
It's confusing.
thank goodness we have vomit scientists.
Yeah.
If we didn't, we
Yeah,
wouldn't
you're
know.
right. You're right about that.
And at number 4, this might be the coolest bed ever. It's part of this.
This is awesome.
Pottery Barn Kids Star Wars collection. It's the Millennium Falcon bed inspired by the original Star Wars movies. The collection is filled with everything you'll ever need, from Chewbacca backpacks to R2-D2 rugs. Again, it is only for kids.
For now. Did you guys say that's incredibly cool?
He said it, but I agreed with it. And don't roll your eyes at me. You and I agree on a lot of things, Conrad. But so help me, if you say anything
I'm
bad
just
about Star
afraid
Wars,
for
I
you.
will cut you.
Didn't you have that chitty chitty bang bang bed when you were 8 years old?
No, did not. Just a wooden box.
Welcome back. Coming up this half hour, Pat's racing go-karts with real NASCAR driver Matt Kenseth.
Plus, Mike Toomey's taking a look back at some great moments in football history.
But first, here are a few stories that are trending online this morning. A woman in Virginia thought she won $20,000 with a lottery ticket. Found out it was a mistake. She bought a $2 scratch off and matched the winning numbers, but when she tried to cash it in, officials told her the ticket was issued in error. The winning numbers were supposed to be at the top of the ticket. Hers were on the bottom, suggesting the machine cut the cards wrong. All right, thank you, Dan. Let's take a look at the stock numbers. A live look here, up 60 points. The Dow closed up 390 points on Tuesday. Some analysts attribute the day's gains to a relief rally after last week's brutal selling.
Well, look who's back. Financial expert Terry Savage. How are you?
Hi, Terry.
Glad to be back sitting here. And if you watch these numbers all day long, which I try not to do, it could drive you crazy. So you're not spending this money for 15, 20, 25 years into your retirement. Do not get nervous about 400 up or 300 down, whatever.
And despite all this, interest rates still
Oh,
the
now
same.
that's a big focus. That is going to be the headline news. In fact, I'm just about. And one more Terry's tip. If you have a big freezer, buy your holiday turkey now.
Really?
Yes, the avian flu has raised the prices of all poultry, and eggs are going up, and particularly turkey prices. You're going to see this story 5 weeks from now, 6 weeks. Turkey prices going up. So if you have a freezer, buy it now.
Look at her.
Little
Thinks
Halloween
of everything.
supplements.
All
Or
right.
you can have spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah,
Save yourself a
yeah,
bundle.
so roast beef or something.
Yeah.
like
All right,
that.
here. Good stuff, Terry. You're going places. You seem to
I
know
like
what you're
to come
talking
right
about.
here to go
Yeah,
places.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing, Larry.
Although every time you go on vacation, the market crashes. So
Yeah,
you just
I
keep
have
your
no more vacations
Sit right
planned
here.
for a while.